Donald Trump declares his hand. Vladimir Putin pushes his luck. Leaders line up to meet with Xi Jinping. And Joe Biden tries to lead the way. What a frenetic 24 hours we've seen. We keep talking about what a perilous time this is in world affairs, and the past day or so has only amplified that point and created more risks, more tension. Russia has unleashed new rocket attacks on Ukraine, hitting residential buildings in the capital, Kiev. But critically, 2 missiles have struck across the Ukraine border into NATO member Poland, killing 2 people. This is not only tragic and unconscionable, it also escalates the stakes dramatically. At the G20 meeting in Bali, world leaders urged Russia to de-escalate. But what we've seen is the opposite, and this has only hardened the resolve of US President Joe Biden.
There were scores and scores of missile attacks in the western Ukraine. We support Ukraine fully in this moment, and we have since the start of this conflict, we're going to continue to do whatever it takes to give them the capacity to defend themselves.
Now, Biden has held talks with other G7 and NATO leaders, and NATO itself is convening an emergency meeting. As to the missiles that crossed into Poland, there's no clarity about where they were launched from, whether they were knocked off course or what the repercussions will be. President Biden seemed anything but definitive.
Is it too early to say whether this missile was fired from Russia?
There is preliminary information that contests that. I don't want to say that till we completely investigate, but it is. It's unlikely in the minds of the trajectory that it was fired from Russia, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, that's the leader of the free world there. But were the missiles Russian? Were they fired by Russian forces or Russian-aligned forces? Those are the key questions. And NATO countries await more details before declaring their response. And while all this was unfolding, back on mainland USA in Florida, former President Donald Trump, yet to accept or concede defeat after the last election, has declared his bid to run again in 2024.
In order to make America great and glorious again, I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
Yes, at a time when the Western world, the free world, the liberal democracies of the world, led by the US, are struggling to assert their dominance, to impose the global rules-based order, the mercurial Donald Trump will further complicate the polarised politics of the United States.
And he's leading us to the brink of nuclear war, a concept unimaginable just 2 short years ago. You cannot mention the nuclear word. It's too devastating.
Yeah, it's as if that Chinese curse is playing out before our very eyes. You know, the one about living in interesting times. These are interesting times, all right. We need American leadership as ever, but it's not as apparent as it should be. And the domestic political scene in the US looks like it could undermine American leadership for some time to come. Will the Republicans back Trump or rally behind another candidate like Ron DeSantis? Would Trump run as an independent regardless? When will Biden declare his intentions, and who else can the Democrats throw forward? And want to see how divisive all this will be? Just look at the Democrat ad that was rolled out within minutes of Trump's declaration.
You also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion, yes or no?
There has to be some form of punishment.
For the woman?
Yeah, there has to be some form. And if I win, we will treat those people from January 6th fairly. And if it requires pardons, we will give them pardons.
Oh dear, eh? And the election is 2 years away. The turbulence of US domestic politics will continue, and for those of us in the rest of the world, we have to ask, what more will Presidents Putin and Xi do to unsettle the global order in the meantime? There's no cause for alarm, of course, but events in Europe and the US mean the world is even more perilous today than it was yesterday.